Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. I'm Andrew Kavanaugh. I want to say thank you for coming back to the channel. And if you were nice enough to like this video, please hit the subscribe button and hit the little like button too if you're really enjoying this. Anyway, today is the last movie in my review series of the Alien franchise, which will continue with Alien Covenant coming up very soon. I'm very excited for that. But today I'm going to be looking at Prometheus. And Prometheus is a film, again, this is the newest of the franchise, but came out a few years ago, and we finally got Ridley Scott back and kind of to reboot the series, but also to kind of bring it back to its roots. It's a reboot, it's a prequel, it's kind of a funny little amalgamation of a movie, but I really enjoy it. I think Ridley Scott is really the only one that could come back to really put this series back to square one. It got so screwed up by Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, especially. Alien Resurrection is just a terrible film, and to bring it back to its roots was really something that was necessary. And also kind of give us a little history of who those big guys were in the original Alien movie. Answer a lot of questions, which is really great because there's a lot of questions about the alien that have not been answered. And actually, this movie doesn't answer many questions, but it poses more than it answers. But it still does a good job of giving us a little more history on the whole series, which I think is great. This film, I guess, is a precursor to the original film. It's not clearly a direct prequel, though, which is kind of interesting. I'm guessing Alien Covenant, the next film in the series, is going to hopefully answer more questions that this movie poses, but we won't know until that comes out, but count on me to bring you a review when that comes out. Anyway, Prometheus here sees a crew of explorers that find this planet. Again, very similar to the plot of the original film. They land on this planet. Again, it's a Weyland company ship, which I think is great that they brought that kind of back. Again, very similar to the first film. They land on the planet, and of course, after a little time and some investigation, they find that these architects, these beings that may have started humanity, are not all that they are cracked up to be. The entire film is very reminiscent of the original Alien film, where a crew lands on a planet, they think they found something wonderful, and in fact they find nothing but pure horror. Now, again, not going to ruin the film for you, but basically as the movie goes on, the horror ramps up. The action also ramps up in this, and I think you got some great performances along the way by Noomi Rapace and Michael Fassbender. And Fassbender, especially as David the robot, I think he is just phenomenal in this movie, and he really does keep the movie going because you don't know what his plans are. Because if you've seen the original film, you know that the robots are not always up to good things. I think in this film, the whole question is whether or not David is doing things for good or for bad. And it's a neat thing to see this character go through the paces and wondering what the hell is he thinking? Because the whole movie is basically, you go through the whole movie wondering what is he doing? Like, what is David doing? And as funny as it is, I think it's an interesting plot point that this film has, and I love his performance in this movie. There are some really scary moments, much like the original. However, I don't think this movie reaches the heights of horror that the first movie had. I think it doesn't really even reach that kind of tension that the second movie had. I think this movie is more of making the viewer think, what the hell is going on? More than, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen next. I think it's more about the horror of expectation than the horror of situation, which the first movie was way more of both combined, which made it really intense. This film is more about what's going on, what's happening. It's kind of a great watch the first time around. Upon multiple viewings, I realized that this movie, it does get kind of boring upon multiple viewings, which the first couple films do not. Especially Alien and the second film, Aliens, they do not get boring upon multiple viewings. Actually, they get better upon multiple viewings. But this film, the second and third time I watched it, I was like, I'm not crazy about this movie. And it's not a bad movie, but it's not a very rewatchable film. Once you've seen it once or twice, that's it. Even the extended cut of this movie is not much better. It adds, again, some plot points to the beginning of the film, which I think helps the movie out, and some character development later on in the film. But overall, again, you could watch either one and get a very similar experience out of it. I think it's one of the better Alien films. I think it's right up there with Aliens and Alien 3. I don't think it's as good as Aliens, but I think it's a lot better than Alien 3. But, of course, you don't have Sigourney Weaver in this. And as much as I did not like Sigourney Weaver's performance in the fourth film, in Resurrection, she really is kind of the life force of the series, and she's not there in this. And don't get me wrong, Noomi Rapace, Michael Fassbender, and other cast members, I think they're fine. There's one cast member in Prometheus that I could not believe I did not enjoy her performance in this. And that is sadly Charlize Theron. And Charlize Theron is one of my favorite actors. I love Charlize. And her performance in this movie is not very good. It's kind of bad. And I was not crazy about, like, how dumb her character was in this movie. She is the quintessential company man in this film, and she's just so stubborn, and she's stubborn beyond what most humans would be. And I think that's one thing that took me out of the film upon multiple rewatches, is that she makes decisions that are completely ridiculously stupid. And she does it all throughout the film. And again, I can't say the movie suffers for it, but it does hurt rewatchability of the film. Overall, still a pretty good Alien movie. Again, if Ridley Scott wasn't directing this thing, I think it would be a total piece of garbage. But because of him, it elevates the entire movie and makes it something special. And because of that, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Again, I think it's a pretty good movie. Not the greatest of the series, but definitely one of the better ones out of the 5 films. And that's it for my series, my review series of the Aliens, the Alien series, I should say. But I'm very excited to see what Alien Covenant has in store. The previews seem to be very exciting. It seems like they are going again for that horror aspect over the action. It looks like this is going to have some action scenes in it, but it does look like it's mostly going to be another kind of out-and-out horror film, which I'm glad to see because I love how Ridley Scott does sci-fi horror. He is in honesty, I think he's one of the best or the best at it. And, no better to have than the creator of that entire genre to come back and do it once more. So, anyway, I'm Andrew Kavanaugh. Thank you for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Good night.